Good morning, it's Lynn, Shuck with your humble practice. We are going to take it off the mat this week, and I want to talk a little bit about goals. Often we set goals, people talk about that a lot these days, and how to set them. You want to write them down, you want to have big goals and smaller goals, and what I find is there's two things that people do that undermine themselves with goals. And we do this on the mat too. We think somehow we should achieve this big, huge thing in a very short period of time. And we might have broken it down into steps, but we still didn't give ourselves much time to achieve those steps. So, for example, maybe you have decided that for your health, you want to start getting to bed earlier. And to do that, you're going to turn off your computer at 8 o'clock. You're going to start doing all these things, and you're going to be in bed by 9 because you know you need more sleep. Except if you normally go to bed around 11, 11:30, and it varies, you're probably not going to get to bed at 9. And when it doesn't happen the first night, and it doesn't happen the second night, and maybe you get close on the third night, and it's too much because it's too big of a thing, you're going to give up on it. Or you say, okay, tonight I'll get to bed at 10:30, and tomorrow night at 10, and the next night at 9:30, and then in 4 days I'll be at 9 o'clock. No. You're going from 11:30 to 9. 2.5 hours shift. That's 2.5 time zones. So give yourself time and give yourself the ability to fail a little bit. Often what happens is you set this goal and you don't do it one night, and so now you're like, well, I've already blown it. I know I'm guilty of that. The other thing people do with goals, which is what I caught myself at, is we set too many goals at once and try and change everything. And so I'm going to take better care of my skin, and I'm going to make sure I get 3 meals a day in, and all of them are going to have this many vegetables in them. And I'm also going to start meditating every morning, and I'm going to make the phone calls I need to make every day for my business. And I'm going to be blogging once a week. And okay, you see what happens? So we try and cover too many areas in our lives at once. I remember in college, I had a speech teacher who's actually considered a voice teacher. In England, a voice teacher is someone who teaches you how to use your voice, not for singing, but for speaking. And so he was my teacher, and it was to learn dialects, but he talked about vocal production in all this, and we did vocal exercises that supported that. And he talked about diet and how diet impacts your health and how your health impacts your voice. And he said, you know, you can make yourself crazy trying to suddenly become vegetarian and eat this and eat that, and I'm not going to eat anything that's got this in it, and you can't make all those changes at once. So you change one thing for about a week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks. Start with one thing. And at the time he said, read every label, and if you don't understand what the ingredients are, either don't eat it or find out what the ingredient is. But just spend 3 weeks reading every label. That's it. And then the next thing, don't eat anything that comes in a can. Try that. So you start eating fresher. So notice he gave us 3 weeks and he picked one thing. The overall goal was still to get to healthy eating, but there were steps in place and amounts of time to allow yourself to adjust. So this is what I want to encourage you to do. If you are finding that you are trying to make changes, and many of you are, or you wouldn't be watching videos on self-awareness, don't try and do too many things at once. Don't try and cover your whole life in one sitting and change every aspect of it. Pick one aspect. And then give yourself plenty of time to make those changes in increments. You have the big picture goal, but then you have all these little steps, and the little steps get more than a day. It takes 3 weeks to change an ingrained habit. 3 weeks minimum. So, what are you working on changing? Can you look at it in this new light? Maybe it's something that's on the mat. Maybe it's how you approach your practice. Maybe it's your diet. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your finances. Look at how you're setting your goals. See if they allow for enough time for change to occur that you start to absorb it. And if they're limited enough in scope that you're not covering your whole life at once. That's what I have to offer you today. This is your humble practice, your practice in self-awareness. It's all yoga. I'll see you next week. Bye.